Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy. And as I promised in my last video, I was going to present to you the American and Soviet tanks that I purchased from Forces of Valor. Now, the vast majority of these were purchased at Target. Those were the days when you could walk into Target and buy forces, or no, it was called Historical Legends. And they had Romans and Civil War soldiers and knights, and you could buy tanks. You could get G.I. Joes. It was awesome. I miss those days. I used to go with my friend Doug, and every Tuesday, because I was off both of my jobs on Tuesday, and Doug and I would go to just about every Toys R Us within a 50-mile radius, and we'd go to different Targets and check out what they had, and it was a lot of fun. I miss those days. Anyway, I didn't mean to get all nostalgic on you, so let's begin the video. This is a collection of Forces of Valor by Unimax Toys, and they were produced in the early 2000s. I don't know if they have a date on any of these. Let's check it out. Now I see that it has a copyright on here. Am I wearing my glasses? Yes, I am, and I still can't see it. All right, well, that's not exactly riveting airspace, so let's oh look, I've thrown a track. Problems of storage, more problems. Okay, let's begin on the left side here. We have a Sherman, which has been converted into a tank. One of Hobart's funnies, was known as Hobart's funnies. And the Americans weren't too interested in these conversions. However, the British were very keen on these and used them during the D-Day invasion. And these giant rollers that you see affixed to the front of the Sherman were used to detonate mines. So a way of detecting mines in the road. They also had tanks that had a chain flail, and it would whip chains. There'd be all these chains connected to a cylinder, and the cylinder would turn, and the chains would whip the road and detonate mines that way as well. And they had tanks with floats. You know, they would have a canvas that they would pull up and try and convert their tank into a amphibious vehicle, and it was a dismal failure. The channel was real choppy the day of the invasion because there had been a storm the day before, and the channel was still very rough. And all those tanks sank. I mean, I've always meant to look up to see how many guys survived the sinking. I imagine the commander could have gotten out. The driver and the loader and gunner, they probably weren't as lucky. The thing would probably drop like a tank. I've been on the English Channel years ago, and I remember getting pretty queasy, and it was a nice day. And I was on a ferry going to England, and I did get pretty queasy going over, so it's not for everybody, especially if you're in a sinking tank. So that's the Hobart Funny, and I believe that's the only one that Forces of Valor made, but what's nice about Forces of Valor is they included a little sales brochure with each toy. And let's see, there it is right there. And this shows all the vehicles. They made World War II vehicles, and they also made like Gulf War vehicles, Iraqi T-72s, Abrams tanks, and so forth. Bradley fighting vehicle. They also made a nice collection of soldiers. I did buy all of these sets, and I'll try and I may not be able to show you those because they're pretty small, but I'll see if I can make a video about that too. And they made some great airplanes, and these are their 172 scale airplanes. And I did buy the yellow tipped, the nose on the Stuka painted yellow. I did get one of those. I don't think I bought the Messerschmitt ME262. I should have bought some of those, but anyway, woulda, shoulda, coulda, or coulda, woulda, shoulda. How is it? Coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm not sure. Anyway, so you see here 4 M4 Shermans. Now I've seen these in person, and I remember I might have related this story before because I repeat myself a lot. But I was at the Queen Mary, and the Queen Mary at the time was in a dry dock situation, and it was a museum. And next to the Queen Mary there was a building, and it had a World War II museum because the Queen Mary was used as a troop transport and also for the use of transporting vehicles and things like that, ammunition and whatnot. There's been a lot of talk about the fact that the Lusitania was being used to transport ammunition, and that's why it sank so quickly. And I know a lot of people like to deny that, but I kind of think there might be some truth to that, because the Lusitania sank like in 18 minutes, was it? Anyway, there's people that were on board who claim they heard several explosions. Anyway, why was I telling? Oh, there's a World War II museum, and I came up, and they had a rope around the Sherman sitting there, but if I reached out, I could put my hand on the glacis. Is that what you call it? The front slope. And I slapped it, and it was really scary how solid that thing was. I just pictured myself being run over by one of those, especially if the museum guard caught me slapping the tank. Anyway, next to our Sherman, we have on the top shelf an M3 Grant. Now, you might ask, well, what's the difference between an M3 Grant and an M3 Lee? Well, almost nothing except the turret. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll take a close-up of an M3 Lee, which is the American version of this tank, and give you a close-up of the... Oh, poop. I'm trying to get the light on there unsuccessfully. Okay, there's the turret on the M3 Lee. And the Americans used this tank in North Africa. And the British purchased a number of M3s from us, but they changed them up somewhat. They put a different gun in it and a larger turret to accommodate the gun that they had chosen. This is in desert camo, and it shows a Brit with his beret. Americans preferred the what looked like a 1930s football helmet. So this is the sorry, I was holding it up to the light instead of the camera. This is the M3 Grant. Okay, let's move along. The next one on the shelf is going to be a T-34, Soviet T-34. I got to move way down here. Let's move the light over here. Okay, there's T-34. That's a long-barreled. So I think this is a T-34-85. I'll show you a short-barreled T-34. You can see that this is the short barrel in a winter scheme. And it has a smaller turret than this one here. And I think the larger turret might have been to accommodate the larger gun. And you see the track is... oh god, the track is... I got a lot of them like that. For some reason, a lot of these have lost their tracks. One of them I found in the box. See here? The whole thing came out. And it feels like it's brittle. Like it's gonna snap. Like the other ones have. Anyway, that's the T-34-85. And I purchased 4 of those. I tried to buy 4 of each one that I was collecting. So 4 Shermans, 4 T-34s, 4 Panthers, 4 Tiger IIs. The only thing I didn't buy 4 of was the Lee and the Grant, the Hobart's Funny, and the half tracks. Oh, and this winterized T-34. I'm sorry, I got the camera crooked. So let's sweep across. There's my Soviet tanks. They made another version of this tank that had yellow markings instead of the white markings. Then we have the Sherman, group of Shermans. And then we have some half tracks. Now I've seen these in person as well. Unfortunately, they were in pretty poor condition. They had quad gun, anti-aircraft gun mountings on them. Although of course, the 50 cals were removed. And also the vehicles were in very poor condition. If you watch one of my earlier videos, I went to Camp Blanding, and outside they had a Sherman, several half tracks, ambulances, and I think they had a C-47 sitting out there too. Oh, and some German artillery pieces, which was kind of cool. So if you're interested, you can go to my video on Camp Blanding. One was a video taken inside the museum, and the one outside had the vehicles. So if you'd like to see some American vehicles, some real ones up close, check out that video. Okay, guys, this is going to be a shorter video than my last one because I can't think of any goofy stories to share with you this time. So, let's wrap it up. I want to thank you for getting Iggy with it. And remember to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and happy trails, guys. Thank you. And I'll see you again in a few minutes. I'm going to try and post a video about the Forces of Valor 172 scale painted soldiers that I collected. So in the meanwhile, happy trails, and I'll see you back at the ranch. Bye, guys.